Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'd like to welcome everyone today for our discussion on reading Srila Prabhupada's books every day, organized on behalf of the Ministry of Education for ISKCON. Under our project of Books Are the Basis, we get an opportunity to speak to and discuss the relevance and importance of Srila Prabhupada's books with various devotees across the world. The importance of reading Prabhupada's books every day for ISKCON as a society and for our personal sadhana. In our discussion today, it gives me great pleasure to invite His Grace Rukmini Krishna Prabhu. Rukmini Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Rukmini Krishna Prabhu is currently overseeing the activities of ISKCON in parts of Delhi, NCR, Punjab, Haryana, and so forth. Prabhu joined the movement in 1996 and since then has been relishing the nectar of Srila Prabhupada's books. So on that note, Prabhu, welcome to this conversation. Thank you for accepting to have this discussion with us. At the outset, I'd like to offer, on behalf of myself and all the other Vaishnavas who are joining us today, our Vaishnava pranams to you. Vancha kalpatarusha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. We'd like to glorify together Srila Prabhupada. Namo
Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhaktale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami
Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha
Shunyavati
Paschatyatesh. From the holy land of Sridham Mayapur, I also seek the blessings of Sri Panchatattva. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri
Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi
Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare.
Thank you so much, Tapan Mishra Prabhu. It's my privilege to be conversing with you. And I think we met in GBC College in 2016. We did college together. So since then, I've been observing that you are a very well avid reader of Prabhupada books and a lot of appreciation for Prabhupada books. And I was very much pleased to see that now you are a Minister of Education for Prabhupada's books, encouraging everyone to read Prabhupada's books on daily basis. Thank you so much. It's my privilege to be talking.
Yet, I feel blessed because I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of inspiration to be able to perform my sadhana with more intensity after hearing from you today. So, Rukmini Krishna Prabhu, can you please share with us when was the first time that you came in touch with Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental literature?
It was interesting, actually. In my family, my father, he was a great devotee of Bhagavad Gita. And he was not a, materially speaking, very well-read person, very well-educated person. But somehow, by Krishna's mercy, Lord's mercy, he remembered all the 700 verses of it. And every day, he used to recite whole of Bhagavad Gita in around 40-45 minutes. So one day, my younger sister was getting married. So he said, okay, in her marriage, I want to gift her Bhagavad Gita. So you should bring Bhagavad Gita for me, written by, he gave me the name Swami Prabhupada. You have to find out this Bhagavad Gita. He had this Bhagavad Gita. He used to go to Vrindavan. He had bought it from Vrindavan. But I was not aware that this Gita is available only in the ISKCON temples. So I was in Delhi. I searched through whole of Delhi, all Connaught Place bookstores, everywhere. I couldn't find this Bhagavad Gita. So I was very inquisitive. What is this Bhagavad Gita? Swami Prabhupada. No one has this Bhagavad Gita. No one has heard of this Bhagavad Gita. So somehow, then in 1996, I was actually earlier working with a public sector oil company. So I was posted in Vrindavan, Mathura refinery. So there I came to know there's one temple called Angrezo Ka Mandir, temple where all the foreigners used to come. So this is called temple. So I visited there. So it was incidentally the centenary year celebration Srila Prabhupada. There I bought first time the book, was Raj Vidya. And there I read the author's name. So then it struck me, okay, my father was asking for this only. Okay. So then I bought this Raj Vidya, then I bought Bhagavad Gita also, and I started reading books. So that way how it all started.
How old were you when you first encountered Srila Prabhupada's books?
How old I was?
Yes, Prabhu.
I was not very young. I was, let's say, around 30, 32, 32.
32 years old. And Prabhu, you obviously come from a very glorious family. Rarely do we hear an individual being able to remember all the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, let alone reciting that every day.
Yeah.
Was that something that you grew up with, seeing your father perform?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I was very fortunate. Like sometimes his health was not good in his old age. So I used to sleep with him. So whenever he used to change his side, he used to recite one verse of Bhagavad Gita. He used to change his side, he used to recite another verse of. So
Wow.
it was deep down in his consciousness, And although he didn't know Sanskrit, etc., but he could analyze each and every word, why Krishna has spoken this word here, and everything. And he used to read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. So he appreciated us. Although he was not aware, he couldn't read Prabhupada, but he was very much appreciative of Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. Later on, when I joined ISKCON,
if I may take your permission, before I ask you more about your journey, could you give us a little background of what would have inspired your father, I mean, your glorious father, to be doing this in the 90s? Because ISKCON was not so popular, not so...
Yes. So he used to tell us that, in pre-partition days, they were settled in Pakistan. And his grandfather, he used to teach them Bhagavad Gita in his childhood days. So right from the childhood, he was reciting Bhagavad Gita, reading Bhagavad Gita. So that way. And in our childhood also, he engaged one teacher, Sanskrit teacher. And that Sanskrit teacher used to come to our home, and myself, my brother, were asked to just read Bhagavad Gita, remember the shlokas, and then he used to take us to the temple on some functions, to come on the stage and recite those verses. So that way, those impressions were there. I was very fortunate.
Surely. I believe that all of us who are listening can take such a lesson from this, that these impressions, the samskaras that we develop in the childhood, it doesn't matter which decade, which time you're in, can go a long, long way till the very end of one's life. So, Prabhu, Raja Vidya was the first book that you came in touch with Srila Prabhupada's literature. Do you recall something or something that was very striking when you read Raj Vidya for the first time?
Yes.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, in the Raj Vidya, the incident of a faith, story of a cobbler and a Brahman. The Brahman was very kind of a literate person, knowing all kind of Sanskrit verses, and cobbler was uneducated, and still, and Narad Muni said, Lord told Narad Muni, cobbler will be coming first to be Vaikuntha, not this Brahman, because he had faith. So that, and he told that story, that what was the Lord doing? The Lord was passing an elephant through the hole of a needle. So the cobbler could believe it. But the Brahman will say, no, it's not possible. So that told me, through that story, I came to know how much important it is in spiritual life to have a faith.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, you were a professional, a working man at that point in time, working in the public sector. And I know that in the 90s, getting a public sector job was a very coveted position. It was something that everybody aspired for. And oil companies were good employers. And now we see you in saffron robes. You obviously soon became a brahmachari. Prabhu, can you please share with us what was the role of Srila Prabhupada's books in that transformation of your life from being employed in a nice company, in a coveted position, and then leaving that and dedicating your life completely as a brahmachari to Srila Prabhupada's mission?
Yeah, it was very interesting, Koji. Like, I think my posting at Mathura, it was all destined. And my coming in touch with the devotees, my earlier impressions, and somehow some events happened in my life also. So I was looking for something. And when I was reading Prabhupada's introduction, Prabhupada was writing I'm just paraphrasing, I'm not written the exact sentence. Every intelligent person should think why he's suffering. So I said, yes, I should think why I'm suffering. I have everything. Now I'm not able to enjoy all these things. Earlier I used to enjoy going to movies, going out with friends. Now I'm not able to enjoy these things. Why? What's happening? So it started working upon. And these books, Prabhupada's English was very simple. Very all his examples, small books. I bought all the small books. I remember first page I read of Matchless Gift, Krishna Consciousness, the Matchless Gift. Prabhupada's writing, this material world is very difficult to find even one sane person in this material. It really struck me. One sane person. Very difficult to find even one sane person. So it totally revolutionized, brought a revolution in my heart. What I am thinking, all my misconceptions, everything. And then I was again very fortunate to have the association of devotees at the right moment. I again got transferred back to, our Northern East Regional Office was in Noida. It was in 97. So then I came to know ISKCON temple is also there in east of Kailash. It was still under construction. So I came here on Janmashtami Day. So here the youth forum camp was there. They were having question answer booth. The first time I saw in some temple, some question answer booth is also there. You're being encouraged to ask questions. So I asked some questions. I asked this question. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whenever a religion increases, Krishna descends. Now so much religion is going on. Why not Krishna is descending? So a devotee answered me, Prabhu, Krishna may or may not descend. Krishna may descend himself, or Krishna may send his empowered representative. So Krishna has sent his empowered representative, Srila Prabhu. What an answer. So then they enrolled me for a 7-session Bhagavad Gita course. So I attended that course, and from there onwards, by the mercy of devotees and Srila Prabhupada, just I got more and more involved with ISKCON Youth Forum, Grace Mohan Prabhupada, the devotees, by their inspiration, everything. They got me engaged in services, started reading books and everything, that all started.
Yeah. And Prabhu, like you mentioned, that the Lord is very merciful. Your destined, He makes the arrangement in the holy land of Mathura and Vrindavan. You came in touch with Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental literature and got inspired.
Yeah.
Prabhu, were you able to find time in your job and in your routine in Mathura to be able to read Prabhupada's books? I ask this question because many of people who are working, congregation devotees, and who have a householder life also, they often ask this question, how do we get time? So how did you find time to read Srila Prabhupada's books when you were employed?
The books were very inspiring, very, very inspiring. So, what I used to do, it was all by Krishna's arrangements. When I got posted in Noida Regional Office, we had a library there. Somehow, I got all the Prabhupada's books placed in that library. Bhagavatam said, Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the books. Okay. Now, our lunchtime used to be for 1 hour. So I used to honor Prashad. So I never used to visit the cafeteria. So I used to very quickly honor my Prashad, 10-15 minutes. And then I used to go to lab. So easily every day I could find around 40 minutes or so. So I used to take out Bhagavatam and easily read Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam 40 minutes or 30 to 40 minutes daily reading was there. Minimum used to be there. That was in the lunchtime. And then, after coming back from the office in the night time or so, I used to read Srila Prabhupada Leela, Krishna book. And where in holidays you can read more. And then, we were inspired to remember verses also. So my home was in western part of Delhi. and office was around, it used to be around 35 to 40 kilometers journey, car journey. I have to drive. And the traffic jam of Delhi, it was take around 1.5 hours one way. So what I used to do was like, I remembered all Shad Goswami has to come from Samhita, the traffic jams, red lights. So it used to give enough opportunities. On one way journey, I can remember it 1 or 2 verses. So that way. So I remember all the Ashtakams and prayers during that time. And give the lectures also. Then at lunchtime I used to read. After coming back also, I can read half an hour. So that way somehow, it used to be a struggle. But I saw that whenever I used to read Prabhupada's books, it used to give me a lot of strength to face the material world. The material world is always full of ups and downs. People are behaving very unpredictably. So then you used to know Prabhupada's purpose, this world is like this only. And it used to give me a lot of strength to face this world and keep my composure.
As Prabhupada used to say, literally surcharged. You were surcharged by the Vani that was coming through books. Prabhu, you mentioned that you were also participating in the youth forum and the programs in the temple. What was the culture in the temple towards reading Srila Prabhupada's books? Were there regular programs happening, sanghas happening around reading Prabhupada's books then?
Yeah. I was very fortunate. This Mohan Prabhu used to really inspire us. Every Thursday evening there used to be class. Every Sunday there used to be class. And Prabhuji used to take very systematic study of NOD, Nectar of Devotion, Vaishnav Sadachar. So he used to inspire us. And like I was very fortunate to have a very good batch of, good friends. We always used to discuss amongst ourselves different philosophies, philosophical questions. And we used to ask the seniors also. So it was very good. And sometimes after the class is finished, for long hours we used to stay back in the temple discussing about some philosophical points. And family members used to get surprised. What kind of temple is this? You're returning back 11:30 or 12 o'clock in the night. Because the book series is so absorbing. Keep on discussing and discussing. Very wonderful.
Prabhu, I'm surprised myself also because the 90s was a period of upheaval, I would say, in India and also in Delhi. The cable TV had arrived. Suddenly everybody was exposed to very different culture. And I was also in the same city at that point in time, but doing something very different from what you were so blissfully engaged in. So Prabhu, I really want to understand, how did it all come together? You mentioned there were other boys also, other students. It's very bewildering for me coming from that background to understand what really put it together, what kept it together. Because there were so many distractions that were coming up during that period of time, a completely different lifestyle, MTV and whatnot. So can you please elaborate a little bit more or reflect with us on the books per se, and what was it that was inspiring you all day after day to continue to dive deeper in them?
I think it was a very inspiring example of our mentor, this Mohan Prabhu. He's a perfect sadhu, perfect sadhana, and he used to always quote Prabhupada books. He also stress upon reading of Srila Prabhupada books. And then he used to inspire us also to distribute Prabhupada books. And His Holiness Gopal Goswami Maharaj, he also used in every lecture to inspire us to distribute and read Prabhupada books. So we had very wonderful examples in East of Kailash, Shri Radha Parsati Temple, is Jeta Mitra, great scholar. So these all devotees were so inspiring. So we used to feel we don't nothing. So used to approach them and ask them questions.
So you had the association of several book Bhagavats also along you, who were inspiring you day after day. And Last year we interviewed His Grace Mohan Rupa Prabhu, and he still continues to inspire everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly the same way.
Yes.
Like he was doing 3 decades ago in the 90s. So, Prabhuji, at what point in time did you take that big jump of deciding to leave your career and then joining the temple?
Yeah, it was in 2004. Yeah, because my preaching engagements were increasing. I had to read also, I have to preach also, I have to manage office also. It was getting too much for me. So in my office also, then it just time was very less. Everything was packed. So I thought, okay, what to do? And I prayed to God Nitai that now my post is very cozy. I have a regional office. Let me be posted in a very remote place so that I leave this job. So I really prayed that way because somehow I had some attachment also, because everything was very comfortable. And I was managed to serve also, managed to give some donation also. So everything was apparently looking very good. But I know it was a blockage. It was blocking me from moving ahead. So I could understand this is my attachment. So I prayed to God that please take away this job. Let me place in some village so that I don't go there and resign, and then it become a good impetus for me to. And it happened.
Did God so God any time?
Yeah, and it happened. It happened.
There's an old saying, you better be careful about what you wish for. And I say that if you walk into the temple of Shri Panchatattva, Radha Madhav, or any of our ISKCON temples, that saying becomes true. It becomes, I've seen so many devotees for whom the life becomes true. So, but in this case, it really led you to such a beautiful path or further your journey.
So thankful.
So Prabhu, then you turned a page in your life and you moved into a different environment, which was living in the temple, I believe, and living in the ashram. Can you share with us something about the culture in the ashram and how it was with respect to getting some time for reading books? Did it increase, decrease? Because temple life has its own set of responsibilities, services.
Yeah, then my Guru Maharaj gave me the service of this Panjabi Bagh temple. I joined here, and at that time it was not a very well-established temple. We had a very small center, and we had to vacate that center. It has to be relocated in a new place. So not many brahmacharis were there. These were not there. There was no kind of a organized preaching was not there. So it was a bigger struggle. So along with me, some other very inspired joined. We batch around 3-4. We joined together, all of us, and we used to do everything together. Preaching, congregation preaching, corporate preaching, children school preaching, book distribution, management, everything. So it was fun also. It was struggle also, but it's no time for book reading. All morning to night, every day. So sit down, do something. So we every day we used to get up early and do something. But initially, few months it was struggle. Then we realized because we are not reading books, then conflicts started happening. Our consciousness was not proper. So then we should become our daily routine. Then serious, then we started some system of combined reading. Every day we used to sit together, at least read for 1 or 2 hours together. Then again, everyone, this was a combined reading also, individual reading also. My Guru Maharaj, I discussed with my Guru Maharaj. He said, okay, no, whatever you do, really ensure that you should read Prabhupada books daily. So whenever some seniors used to come, I used to ask them, Prabhuji, it's a new temple, we are struggling what to do. He said, whatever it is, you should read Prabhupada books daily. Otherwise, it will all become very materialistic. Your consciousness won't be proper. You're committing a lot of offenses. So those advices really helped us. Started the initiative of reading Prabhupada books. So it really affects a lot. If you're not reading, everything becomes very mundane. If you're reading, you're able to see the things in proper perspective.
Well, we remain eternally grateful to His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj for being an example himself and guiding us all in this regard to read Prabhupada's books every day. So it seems from what you're just describing, Prabhu, that reading of Prabhupada's books every day together as a team, together as a family of few of the devotees who joined along with you to establish ISKCON Punjabi Bagh became like a foundation, the very foundation of your preaching, of your service. And you very nicely described that there was a major shift in being able to handle the services. But Rukmini Krishna Prabhu, on the other hand, you very often come across devotees who say the reverse when they're serving in the temple. They face the same situation which you are facing, which is to say, they say that, first we have to perform our service. If there is any time left, we will read. You may have noticed several cases. You shared something with your own personal life and your own experience. But what has your observation been about devotees who, I would not like to use the word neglect because they still want to serve, but they deprioritize reading Prabhupada's books for extended periods of time. For extended periods of time, months and sometimes even years, and they're serving in the temple. What has your observation been, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhuji. I mean, it's I mean, very. I can say what should I use? Devotees are very sincere. They want to dedicate their lives to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. And when they get engaged in service, they want to serve. Somehow, as you rightly said, not giving proper importance to daily reading of Srila Prabhupada books. Slowly, I see devotees getting losing track of their own selves, what they came for, what they were aspiring for, what is the actual purpose of life, and then get involved in solving the petty problems, urgent issues. Again, forgetting the most important part of our life, why we are dedicating our lives. We not come here to just do some policing, doing corrections, rectifications. No, we have to rectify ourselves, correct ourselves. These all things are secondary. They are the means to the end. The end is our own purification. So now one loses track of himself, loses the sight of our goal of life. So it's a very tragic scene. And then devotees that get, sidelined or they get discouraged and they somehow some leave Krishna consciousness or some get change their ashrams and they're not so enthusiastic. So it has a spiraling effect. It starts with 1 day, 2 day, 1 month, and then the Maya days like this, it's very difficult to come back. Very, very difficult to come. So it's very, very important, Prabhuji, to remain in touch with Prabhupada's body, Prabhupada's part on everyday basis. Very, very important. Otherwise, our spiritual journey is not safe.
Many accidents on the royal path.
Yes.
As is described. Prabhu, as a leader now in ISKCON, as somebody who has and going to have more and more responsibilities for various centers, temples, what message, what advice can you give to those who are starting out in temple life, or to those who may be going through this phase in their life where urgent issues are taking over? And perhaps you could also share with us what you're doing in your own centers, or you plan to do in your own centers and temples, to ensure that the devotees under your care, under temple management, do not become victim of the same scenario for prolonged periods of time.
Yes, Prabhuji, is a big challenge actually. the culture of reading has to be emphasized again and again. Because when the devotees join, they are young, passionate, and they want to achieve something. It's a taste of success. So in that pursuit, they somehow don't give much importance to reading Srila books. And sometimes in some centers, they very devotees are less, services are more, and they are very hard pressed. Even if they want, they are not able.
Probably that's true for most of our centers, Most of our centers fall in that situation, isn't it, Prabhu, where pioneering work is going on?
Yes, most of the pioneering work is there. So my humble submission or request, whatever may be the case, somehow find out some time. The best way is when we get up in the morning, first thing we do is first thing first, read some Prabhupada books before Mangalarti if we can take out some time. Half an hour, 40 minutes, if it is possible. That is the best possible thing. And then the chanting time you can chant. Before starting that, if you are read, then you are free, you are kind of liberated. So whole day, whatever service you want to get to. Sometimes when you do this, you are ecstatic whole day. You are ecstatic because you have read for 1 hour, you have chanted your rounds. The whole day, 20 hours you can serve. If that can be done, it's an ideal thing. If it is not possible, you couldn't get up early in the morning before Mangalarti. Okay, then at least in the coming day, it's this kind of a dynamic balancing we have to do because our temple life is very, very dynamic. A lot of adhocism is there. But still, we can know what is going to be scheduled tomorrow. So we can plan in the ahead. Whatever is planned, whatever is prioritized is achieved. So we can plan. But normally what we do is we fail to plan. We don't plan for the reading hours. So if I know my upcoming day's schedule, okay, is it possible to get up early in the morning before Mangalarti? If you can do it, very good. If you're not able to do that, okay, at what time I'll read? I have to look for that. I have to look for the gap. I have to create that gap. So if I'm looking for that gap, Krishna will help me to create that gap. If I'm planning, the Krishna will help. The point is sometimes we don't plan. So if I'm planning, okay, between 3:30 to 4:30, okay, before Prashad, okay, I'll take some half an rest there, I'll read. So I can just, adjust 1 hour or something to big act. And normally what should we do? Normally when you're serving, our mind is quite agitated. And it's very difficult to sit down and then focus and read. I've seen with myself. So better to take rest for some time, half an hour, 45 minutes. Mind is peaceful. Then put place, you can concentrate, you should read. You need a lot of focus with prayers. So it really sinks in.
Such valuable tips, Prabhu, such valuable suggestions. Thank you. Prabhu, you touched upon two very beautiful points. One is, I would summarize it as, when there is a will, there is a way. If in our meditation, if we're praying to Krishna, that we're praying to Srila Prabhupada and the Guru Parampara, that we want time to read, you said Krishna will give time. Can you share any anecdote from your personal life where you saw that happen in a very busy schedule, when Krishna just magically gave you the time you were asking?
Yes, probably it happens, sometimes. Many times, 2-3 days, if I'm not able to read, I feel myself lacking something, Then I sometimes pray before Srila Prabhupada. I want to read. I want to understand your purpose. Please give me strength. Please give me the intelligence. And then, next day somehow, even if I'm not planning to get up early in the morning, I'm awake. Before half an hour, before the alarm is going to go, already I'm awake. So why not to get up and read? So because I prayed. So it happens many times.
So our personalist philosophy is active not only in our relationship with devotees and the deities, but like you very beautifully described, it's active also in our relationship with Srila Prabhupada's books and the Shastras. So nice. Prabhu, you also touched upon the culture of reading. Prabhu, I want to ask you, there is individual reading, and then there is reading, or we do in terms of Srimad Bhagavatam class, Bhagavad Gita class, or programs that we conduct. Can you please give us a perspective on the importance, whether one is more important than the other, or the relevance of one versus the other? Please share with us the perspective on both of these points, especially also about individual reading, if you think that's important. Obviously, it's a rhetorical question, but I'm just trying to understand, because that's another question that devotees ask often. Oh, I'm attending the Bhagavatam class, so is it really necessary?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I think individual reading is very important because it's swadhyaya. It's for the self. And you are there and Prabhupada's purpose are there. That's it. And it's time to meditate, time to go deep, time to analyze, introspect. So that's swadhyaya, very, very important. And class reading, class discussions, it has a different flavor because the speaker has his own experience, own realizations. He is well prepared for the subject. So he will quote many acharyas, many other speakers, but he has assimilated. So we are getting the experience of his realizations. Okay, that is also fruitful. It is also very much essential. Coming together in the association of devotees and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. But Swadhyaya has its own flavor. It's very much required because even if I'm continuously attending Bhagavatam classes, if I'm not doing Swadhyaya, I feel some hollowness. And sometimes it is experienced also. And in the temple Bhagavatam classes and temple devotees, sometimes they are not in physically fit condition. They're woken up right early in the morning. It's already 4 or 5 hours past since they are awake. Body may not be cooperating so much. They may not be physically so much alert. But when we are alert in the daytime, a proper rest, and when we are reading Swadhyaya, so it's very fruitful, I think. Both are important. But, cannot replace one with another.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very, very important message about Swadhyaya. And you touched upon how we should create time, a comfortable situation where we can really meditate, focus, and absorb what we're reading. Prabhu, on the topic of Swadhyaya and reading Prabhupada's books, you touched upon culture. I also want to ask you, in your experience, about the mood. What should be our mood, our attitude when we approach Srila Prabhupada's books? So, how should we compose ourselves? And what should be our mind frame when we approach Prabhupada's books? So, something that you can share from your years of experience on this matter for us.
Yes, Prabhuji. First of all, I pray to you that it's a very important question. Prabhupada said everything depends on the attitude. Very, very important question. So I may say, but I won't be saying that this is the attitude I am following. Try to follow this. Because it's Prabhupada's Vani. We have to approach Prabhupada books with what I understand is a service of submission. Okay. Because Ata Shri Krishna Madi Na Bhavikrayame Seva Mukheji if it is not with service attitude, it's going to be only an academic exercise. It's not going to go deep in our heart. And I have seen when I'm just reading superficially, just for the sake of it, sometimes, when I'm not in a proper attitude. So the purports don't touch you. And they look very similar, very familiar. Nothing new, nothing fresh. Only Prabhupada is repeating again and again, same thing. The same purpose, if I offer Mangalacharan, proper prayers, and the same purpose if I read, offering proper prayers in the service attitude, pray Krishna Prabhupada, please reveal this purpose in my heart. I imbibe this purpose. Then altogether the same words are there. They touch your heart. It's a magical thing. Everything depends the way we approach them. This is not mundane knowledge. We just cram it. It's okay. it will reveal itself by mercy on it. Otherwise, it will look very, very superficial. Everything will no fresh. It won't appear fresh. But we approach with a service attitude, it always appears fresh.
Prabhu, in that one answer, you touched upon a very common concern that devotees raise. And they don't do it openly, but privately they say that they find it boring or they say it's repetitive. But you've given us the way to not make it repetitive. Would be when we approach it with the right mood. Prabhu, this is very helpful for all of us, very, very helpful, because many devotees or many practitioners who are trying to absorb Srila Prabhupada's books, they get overwhelmed. They get overwhelmed when they see the whole Bhagavatam set, the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita, the books, and because of lack of proper attitude, when they pick up, they find it repetitive. They start falling asleep, etc. So, how do we do it day after day? How do we make it consistent, this attitude, this prayerful attitude, so that we can actually take maximum advantage of purifying ourselves?
Like what I could feel was, if I did it once and I get the result, immediately I feel a different feeling. So that inspires me, okay, this is the way to approach. And the next day, if I'm not able to do it because of my passion or ignorance, so I don't feel that. It's pratyaksh. It's not pratyaksh abhavam dharma, So then, okay, that day I could enjoy the same purpose, relish the same purpose. No, I'm not going to do that. I could easily see it's my difference in approach. Okay. So because it reveals, it gives a lot of strength. You feel out. It's just like when you're able to chant nicely, you have a different feeling. When you're not able to chant nicely, you have a different
Correct.
So it inspires you. Okay, again, I have to approach the same manner, proper manner.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, I'm so glad you gave the example of chanting, because chanting is emphasized so much. Of course, I mean, it's such an important part of our sadhana. And this example is often given in the matter of chanting, but not so often in the matter of reading. But by giving this similarity, you've actually given us something very important to think about. That if we don't get nectar, if we don't relish the purports, then we must seek, as you said, in a prayerful mood. And if once we've tasted it, we must always maintain, or probably try to even increase the joy of reading Prabhupada's books. Prabhu, have you ever been in a situation where somebody comes to you, and of course, in your case, you're in a senior position within ISKCON, but have you been in a situation where somebody approaches you and says, hey, listen, why are you wasting your time? You have service to perform. Come out and perform service. Did you encounter something like that?
Fortunately not. Fortunately not. It has been the other way around sometimes, Prabhu. Like Guru Maharaj told me, you should read. So I never revealed that I'm not able to read, so I've been told, no, you should read.
So nice, Prabhu. So nice to hear that there's a nice culture where you are, and you are yourself actually developing that culture in other parts of ISKCON as well. Prabhu, so this is, so far we discussed about how you came in touch and how you're relishing Srila Prabhupada's books. What are the common reasons, and I don't want to use the word excuses, but concerns that the congregation members or temple devotees have expressed to you when you ask them or when you inspire them that read Prabhupada's books every day? What are the common things that you come across where somebody says, oh, Prabhu, we can't do this because of A, B, C, D? So please share with us those common A, B, C, D, and if possible, also your solutions that you offer to devotees.
Yeah, Prabhuji, like, it's all very common, lack of time. don't have time. We are not used to reading. Last time we left reading, it was way back in school time, college time. Even in college time, we never read. We got through somehow. So we'll be able to go back to Godhead also somehow without reading Prabhupada. So there are common excuses because of lack of time. I'm not able to understand these purports. So this is the most common excuse. I want to read, but somehow there's no proper atmosphere. I don't have a proper place in my home. There's no separate room is there. Small children are there. These are the challenges the congregation members face. But by emphasizing again and again the importance of reading Srila Prabhupada books and giving them an experience. So what we started doing was we started reading workshop. First we did for all our leaders, congregation leaders. Okay. Reading workshop. How to read. Somehow, even if they want to read, because they are not able to relish it, once relishes, that determination automatically comes in. If they're not able to relish, one doesn't need any determination to eat rasgulla because he likes it. Similarly, Prabhupada are full of nectar. It's ras, But somehow, unfortunately, we're not able to relish it, so we have to force them. So somehow, if they can relish it, they can enjoy the reading. So automatically, they'll find out time. Okay. Now, because they are busy, still they are able to find time 2 hours for chanting. They are busy, still they are able to find time to come to the temple, attend functions, festivals, do preaching, everything they have time. But when it comes to reading, no, we don't have time because they are not able to relish. So the reading workshops are organized. So there we take up Prabhupada's one small book, like Introduction to Bhagavad Gita. How to read. How we can have very good reading. How we can have a very active reading, participative reading. When you read one paragraph, ask questions. What are the issues Prabhupada is addressing in this paragraph? What is the connection of this paragraph with the highlight? What are the points? Very striking points. Highlight those points. Make a note of those points. Somehow or other, So it becomes, it's very good. And we relish this reading. And then we give them the targets. All our congregation leaders, on everyday basis, they post their sadhana, how much they have read. Minimum 1 hour they had to read. And then we have the scores. If you couldn't read for 1 hour, 1 hour means 100%. If you're not read for 100 hour, less than hour, 80%, 70%. Same culture, then they are introducing their classes. I mean, every member has to report how much they have read. So it is seen that once we read attentively, then we are able to chant also attentively. If you're not reading attentively or chanting, it's not possible. When we read Prabhupada books, we come to know the glories of holy name. We come to know the glories of spiritual master, the importance of devotee association. Then we can better those things. Otherwise, everything becomes, our mind is expert in turning everything mundane. So, to always have the mind on the right track is very much essential to read. So once the congregation member, any devotee, be it congregation or brahmachari, once he starts relishing Prabhupada's reading, he starts observing the positive effect of reading Prabhupada books on daily basis in his spiritual life. So he'll become determined. He'll find out gaps. Nowadays it's very easy. We have smartphones. It's preferable to read Prabhupada books. Now, I always prefer to have a hard book with me. That gives a different kind of a feeling. But still, if you are in a situation, now you have Kindles, you have smartphones. And now devotees are also organizing Zoom reading. It's very good. Get everyone together, sit down and read. So that gives a group discipline. They have Zoom chanting, Zoom reading classes. So that way.
Prabhu, it's so inspiring to know what you're doing in the community, starting at various levels with congregation leaders and their individual classes. It seems to be a perfect formula to actually percolate the culture all around. And it also became obvious to me when you were speaking that it doesn't matter what role we may have. We may be just the father of the house or the husband of the house, or we may be a temple president. But irrespective of what role we have, if we can do our own swadhyaya, and our primary role is to inspire ourselves and others to read Prabhupada's books. It could be our wife, our children, it could be other brahmacharis who are friends with us, or the congregation if you're the temple fest, and so on and so forth. It's a dream come true. If all of our centers were to adopt this and operate like this, it would be magical. It would really be magical.
Yeah, and then we have seen the positive effects also. Earlier, when the reading culture was not so proper, so our conflicts were, conflicts among members were quite high. And misunderstandings, communication gaps. But with improved reading, when your reading is improved, your chanting quality also improves. So our relationships also.
Which is a very important thread of the fabric of Krishna consciousness, our relationships. Prabhu, we would definitely want to know more on another occasion about the program, the way you're conducting it, because you talked about the workshops, the whole system. May I, on another occasion, take some time with you to actually discuss how you set it up and how it's running? Because I think that would be very inspiring for devotees worldwide. And there we can just focus on the advantages that you've drawn, what you've seen. Would you please oblige us another occasion where we can discuss about
that? It privilege for me, whatever we can share, sure.
That would be really helpful for all of us. And Prabhu, you also touched upon, and I remember how earlier in the conversation you said, take out time at the beginning of the day, because now you also mentioned that it gives a clear framework. When we read Prabhupada's books, then it gives the framework for why we are performing service. What is the outcome of this service going to be, like that? So I think that's another very important point for us to keep in mind, that we read Prabhupada's books before performing service, or remind ourselves of what we read in Prabhupada's books before we perform service. Then it gives us the right attitude.
Yeah, perfect. Yes, perfect.
In fact, I was, often I was just thinking in my mind a few days, and I also mentioned it to a few devotees, that I've started thinking that the word spiritual for us, the way it is spelled, is SPI and ritual. And I was joking that without Srila Prabhupada instructions, SPI, it becomes ritual. Yeah. So it actually, the other way around, the ritual actually becomes spiritual when we are reminded of the Transcendental Vani of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, what is your vision? What is your dream for Srila Prabhupada's movement with respect to the reading of his books? How would you like to see it happen in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and for the remaining part of the 10,000 years that we have?
Joy. Wonderful, Bhavji. Like, it will be very good, if everyone is totally surcharged Prabhupada's Vani. We are quoting Prabhupada's purports, this book, this page number, this paragraph. We should be so much expert in learning Prabhupada's purports. And, whenever and whole community, there will be a lot of cooperation, love amongst each other. Then Prabhupada will be really in the center. Keeping Prabhupada in the center means keeping Prabhupada's instructions in the center. And Prabhupada's instructions, they're foremost available to Prabhupada's purports. So that will always keep us on the track. That will always keep us bound together. Our relationships will be very sweet. And we'll always be as one family. Because Prabhupada will be in the center.
Jai. Prabhu, we've heard of these two statements often. Srila Prabhupada as the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and Srila Prabhupada as a preeminent Siksha Guru. And when you were speaking, just what you were saying, these two statements come to my mind.
Yeah.
Could you please share your reflections also with respect to Srila Prabhupada's Vani? And because sometimes and this is not meant to be a judgment on anyone or any center or anything, but sometimes it appears that we just do lip service to these two statements. Lip service that Srila Prabhupada is the founder, or Srila Prabhupada is the preeminent Siksha Guru. What are your thoughts, Prabhu? Continuing on the same theme that we were talking about.
Very important points, Prabhuji. Like, should not remain lip service. Jai Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya, should not remain the lip service. He should be the foundation of all of us our spiritual life. He is the foundation of our Krishna consciousness, and he should remain the foundation of our Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, you must have also seen, I have also seen many devotees that come, they get deviated also because they're not strongly bound. Binding is not very strong. Srila Prabhupada's purpose. In a way, they are the losers, but somehow don't take full advantage of Prabhupada's compassion. It's a very sad thing. So that way should not happen, and the culture should be there. So literally meaning he should be the foundation of our lives and preeminent Shiksha Guru. All our teachings, all our preachings should be based on his purpose. And we should always introspect also whatever I'm reading, whatever I'm quoting in my lectures or discourses should be completely as per in alignment with Prabhupada's teachings, and by behavior also should try to imbibe. Then truly you'll be our founder Acharya. These are big words to speak, but should be my job profile, you can say. Should be what I should be aspiring
for. Prabhu, I'm so grateful for your time today. And the next time when we speak, I want to explore more with you how you're making this happen, and also touch upon what you just alluded to, introspection. But before we leave for today, and I hope we will get together again on this topic, introspection, its importance, and so many other things that we can learn from you. But Prabhu, any one specific parting message that you want to give to the viewers on the importance of Srila Prabhupada's books for the movement and for our personal lives before we bring today's discussion to a close? Something that you'd like to share with us?
Well, Prabhuji, like I like to say, if you want to remain alive and enthusiastic in Prabhupada's movement, you should daily read Prabhupada's books. Without daily reading of Srila Prabhupada, it's not possible to be fully enthusiastic in Krishna consciousness. So that's it.
Well, today, for sure, you have inspired us from your personal life, from your experiences, to actually delve deeper and commit ourselves to reading Prabhupada's books every day. We seek your blessing. And
I seek your blessings, Prabhuji. I seek your blessings. Yeah, you're a very perfect role model. There's so much deep appreciation for Prabhupada's purpose. So I seek your blessings so that I can also appreciate Prabhupada's purpose. Thank you so much.
Well, Srila Prabhupada, the Bhaktivedanta purports are our life and soul. And we hope that they continue to guide us forever in our spiritual life.
Right.
So thank you, Prabhu. Thank you again for taking out your time at short notice from your busy schedule and speaking to us. And we hope to connect with you again to hear more about Srila Prabhupada's books. Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental books ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam Vaishnavabhyo namo. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.